In this episode of Fleet Racing Tour, we continue to focus on Olympic sailing as the season of European Championships is in full swing. We travel north to Helsinki, Finland and catch up with a world of super-fast skiff sailing at the 2014 Seiko 49er and 49er FX European Championships, which took place from the 8th to the 13th of July. (2014) marked the 18th time a 49er European Championships has taken place and the third time the fleet has returned to Helsinki. For the women's 49er FX, selected 3 years ago for the 2016 Olympics, 2014 marked just the second ever European title. First selected for the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia, the class has been an enduring feature of the Olympic lineup, offering fast, furious and spectacular racing with innovative approaches to racing style and format. This year's European Championships were tough, with difficult conditions each day testing crews and equipment to the maximum, and for sure favouring the more experienced teams as the racecourse was battered by strong winds and waves. With the world's best high-performance sailors gathered in Helsinki, claiming the European title was going to be no straightforward job. First day of racing and a breeze of 7 to 12 knots was perfect, then no wind on day 2, and then the action really ramped up on day 3. Strong winds of 20 knots gusting to 25 knots set an intense pace for teams. Controlling the 49er in these conditions is tough, taking immense skill and agility as the powerful sail area pushes boats around the track on a furious pace. Boat handling is key, as one tiny mistake, which can be forgiven in lighter breeze, escalates in the stronger breeze. For some, it was simply a day of survival and getting round in one piece. Proving that even Olympic medalists can find it tough, even the most impeccable of teams found themselves capsized and in the water. Racing was simply an epic display of skiff sailing at its best, leaving spectators in awe. For all Olympic classes, the European Championships are considered the second most important event each year, after the World Championships. Virtually all the same teams compete in each championship, and it is one of the few times each year which brings all the best teams together at the same time. For teams who have been training in different venues around the world, it is a great opportunity to check in on the competition and mark your performance against others.
Sailing against the best team, the last championship we have before the World. We came here far away to Helsinki to enjoy the weather and the condition.
We love coming to Europe, competing against all the European nations because they're so strong.
Equally, for the newer and younger teams, competing at the Europeans is a chance to race with the world's best and get an insight on what it takes to be at the front of the pack.
I'm from Chile. I'm 49er sailor.
49er FX. I'm from Perth, Australia.
From Denmark, and we came here to Helsinki to compete against the best in the class.
I'm from Sweden.
And I'm from Sweden.
We're racing for Team GB.
I'm sailing the 49er FX. I'm from Denmark.
I sail with Charlotte Dobson in the 49er FX. We're part of the British sailing team.
Amongst the star names and big battle set to unfold was between Kiwis Burling and Tuke and Aussies Outteridge and Jensen. The two teams have won the past 5 49er World Championships between them. While nobody, especially them, would predict a 2-horse race, odds are they will both feature on the podium. They are also about to go head-to-head in the next America's Cup. In the 49er FX fleet, amongst the standout teams are defending champions Ida Nielsen and Marie Olsen of Denmark. But they will face tough competition from Brazil's Martine Grael and Kahina Kunze, who have been first or second at every regatta they have raced this year. The most consistent team since the start of the 49er FX racing has been New Zealand's Alex Maloney and Molly Meach, who won the 2013 Worlds. With a mix of Olympic medalists and world champions from other classes, the 49er FX is a hotbed of young talent. Let's take a closer look at the defending European champions. In the 49er, Peter Burling and Blair Tuke from New Zealand continue their event programme on top form. The pair have won every event contested so far this year, including wins at ISAF Sailing World Cup Jerez and ISAF Sailing World Cup Parma.
Yeah, Santander is a big goal. The world champs there, so we're going to go to here after this and do that, and then we're doing an Extreme 40 event on the way home with Team New Zealand, which is going to be great, and then we can do the European champs, the Rio Test event, and then on to Santander. So busy year, but we're looking forward to it.
Their 2014 results followed on from a successful 2013, including the 49er World title also secured in their hands. The pair have also enjoyed a full year of professional sailing, racing with Emirates Team New Zealand and competing on the Extreme 40 Sailing Series Tour. Amongst all this, they have found time to train hard and look ready to defend their 49er European Championship title. In the 49er FX Women, same hull as the 49er with just a smaller rig configuration, holding firm as a standout team to watch are reigning European champions Ida Nielsen and Marie Olsen from Denmark. The world-ranked number 2 pair won the first big 49er FX regattas by large margins. Since then, the fleet has caught up and the Danish pair's results have been less consistent, but they are nearly always on the podium. The pair pitched up to Helsinki fresh off the back of victory at the 2014 49er FX Junior World Championships in Aarhus, Denmark. They prefer windy conditions, so Helsinki was a perfect stage for them to achieve more success. Stay tuned after the break as we move on the racing action. Before the break, we introduced a few of the top teams and likely contenders for the European Championship titles. Racing at the 49er and 49er FX European Championships took place over 6 days, with 3 days of qualification round racing. Before the fleet was split into gold, silver and bronze in the 49er and gold and silver in the 49er FX. Race Day 1 found the fleet settling into form and getting to grips with the nuances of the tricky racetrack set amongst the island chain off Finland's capital city, Helsinki. A few upsets as around 5 teams discovered the rocks with boat damage for some.
Yeah, well, yesterday we hit a rock on the first beat of the first race whilst in a pretty good position. It turned out to do quite a lot of damage to our boat. We ripped the back of the board box open, the board was completely written off, so we managed to get redress and we think we fixed the boat, but we'll find out when we go sailing.
3 races for the 3 28-boat fleets of 49ers in a steady breeze of 7 to 12 knots. Leaderboard honours went to Italians Giuseppe Anghiella and Pietro Zucchetti, as some of the overall favourites ran into a bit of trouble being disqualified for crossing the start line too early. In the 49er FX, a testing day for the two fleets, with 4 3-lap races in glorious conditions. Kate McGregor and Katrina Best of Great Britain had the best overall performance, with a bullet, 2 seconds and a 12th to top the Day 1 leaderboard. All changed for race day 2 as a lack of breeze kept all teams patiently waiting ashore. A good time to take stock though for the top teams, with many of them sitting outside of the top 26 Gold Fleet cutoff. They could make plans for the critical final day of qualifying.
Today on day 2 wasn't a whole lot of wind. They eventually postponed it for the day, and right now maybe there's 2 or 3 knots out there, so probably a good decision, and for us it puts a lot of pressure on tomorrow. We had an okay day yesterday and we won the last race, but we're UFD'd, so we carry maximum points for that. So we desperately need to race tomorrow. We need to get a drop and we need to have a good day. So forecast looks good, quite windy, maybe in the mid-20s. So we're looking forward to that, and hopefully we can get off the ramp and get some racing in tomorrow.
Race day 3 and the final day of qualification, so make or break to advance through to the Gold Fleet and be in with a shot at the podium. An 18 to 25 knots breeze and choppy sea states meant the 3-lap races were physically demanding, particularly for the crew. The racing was intense, yet the conditions made simplicity pay in an exhilarating end to the qualifying phase. While the top bunch in each fleet were racing tooth and nail and relishing the conditions, for many it was a day of survival, of getting round in one piece. The top team showcased a powerhouse of teamwork as they excelled around the track. Disaster for some though, including Italy's Francesca Clapcich and Giulia Conti, who were forced to pull out of the 49er FX competition after Clapcich severely damaged the ligaments in one ankle when she fell from the wing into the mainsail during a capsize. Francis Manu Dien and Stefan Christidis hammered home scores of 1-2, 1-2 to take the lead in the 83-boat men's 49er fleet. While Martine Grael and Kahina Kunze led the women's 51-strong 49er FX fleet with a slim 1-point advantage ahead of Denmark's Ida Marie Nielsen and Marie Olsen. So with 6 races completed in each of the 49er and 49er FX fleets, the lineup was now set for the final series. Race day 4, the first day of finals, sees the top teams now all racing against each other. The final stage is where the best teams start to face off and the level of competition accelerates. Good news for the Kiwis on race day 4, with the reigning world champions dominating both the men's and women's fleets in Helsinki, under a bright sun and breeze blowing a perfect 12 to 16 knots. Peter Burling and Blair Tuke fired 3 Kiwi bullets, a perfect recovery from race day 3 when they had capsized 3 times in the strong winds and moved into the overall lead. Maloney and crew Molly Meach went out and won the first 2 races of the Gold Fleet finals, followed up by a respectable 7th in the last race of the day. The Kiwi girls were really hitting their stride after a bad first day in Helsinki. By day 3 they had moved up to 7th overall, and now on day 4 after 2 bullets stand just a point off the new series leaders, defending European champions from Denmark, Nielsen and Olsen.
Yeah, it was a good day for the Kiwis, I guess. Hopefully there's 2 more good races for them.
Always good to finish with the best race, so no, we're happy, but yeah, still plenty more racing to go. So
pretty happy with how we're going yesterday, to be honest. We led all those races at certain points, and yeah, the one we got 14th in, we were literally like 50 metres from the finish line when we capsized, so could have easily been in another couple of bullets yesterday, but yeah, we're just chipping away really, and the boat's going really well, and we're really happy with the training we've been doing, and that kind of breeze back home.
One of the most successful days ever, even by their high standards. 3 race wins for the New Zealanders, for half of the rest of the fleet has even crossed the finish line.
Race day 5 and the last day of finals ahead of the grand final races. Racing got underway in a building breeze, reaching 18 knots by the end of play for the 3 races. Both the men's and women's reigning world champions secured themselves pole position on the penultimate day of racing. In the men's 49er, Burling and Tuke had a rare slip-up in the day's opening race, sailing out to the right and into the wrong corner of the racetrack. But recovery for the next 2 races, with back-to-back wins hammered out to leapfrog them up into first place. In the 49er FX, Maloney and Meach moved ahead of Nielsen and Olsen after a solid day. Let the 3-race grand final day begin. Up first for the medal race series were the 49er FX women. Up first is the C final, which sees the top performing team in the Silver Fleet in a single race against the teams placed 19th to 27th in the Gold Fleet. The top finishing team from the C final then advances to race against the teams placed 10th to 18th in the Gold Fleet in a 2-race series. Again, the top performing team advances forwards, this time to the top 10 grand final. 3 races in the grand final with a target time of 10 minutes per race and all points counting brings the championship to a nail-biting climax. All racing is theatre style, so windward-leeward formats in a defined racing lane of just 750 metres from top to bottom and 450 metres wide, each edge of the course limited by boundary lane ropes, similar to those seen at a swimming gala.
Welcome to the final day of the Seiko 49er and 49er FX European Championships.
Denmark's defending European champions Nielsen and Olsen went into the day's 3 grand final races just a point behind the New Zealanders Maloney and Meach. The Danes looked relaxed but determined and sailed a very solid 3 races, waiting for the others to make mistakes. With the fleet forced into multiple tacks and jibes on the 2-lap course and the wind blowing a shifty gusty 14 to 18 knots, crisp boat handling and fast decision-making were critical. The Kiwi team reached the top mark of the first race in good shape, in second place behind Jenna Hansen and Capsized of Denmark. Maloney and Meach were unable to bear away and continued further upwind. Meanwhile, Nielsen and Olsen recovered from a shaky moment to finish 6th in the first race, so not looking like a good overall outcome for them. But in no way disheartened, the Danish put the hammer down to win the final 2 races, securing championship victory. The Brazilian team of Grail and Kunze also finished strongly with 2 third places, putting them on equal points with the Kiwis. But the Brazilians' better finish in the final race gave them the silver medal, relegating the world champions to the bronze medal position. The top 3, Denmark, Brazil and New Zealand, are an exact replica of the medal winners at the 2013 European Championships a year earlier in Aarhus, Denmark. With Denmark's 49er FX team successfully defending their European Championship title, can the Kiwis do the same in the 49er men medal races? The Grand Final series and medal race format for the 49er men is exactly the same as for the women. The reigning world champions from New Zealand went into the final 3 races with an 11-point margin over the 2012 Olympic champions from Australia. The battle was on for the silver and bronze medals between Australia's Outteridge and Jensen, Great Britain's Fletcher and Alain Sign, and Germany's Erik Heil and Thomas Ploessel. The Kiwis were fast out of the blocks, taking the lead in the first race with disaster befalling the Australians.
See a boat falling over, and I wonder who that is. Australia.
I think it might be Nathan Outteridge.
Nathan Outteridge, what a disaster.
Outteridge capsized, and by the time the pair were back upright, the fleet was long gone, leaving them straggling across the finish line in last place. The Aussies' capsize now puts them in an even tighter battle with the Brits and Germans for silver and bronze. Repeated disaster for the Aussies in race 2, Outteridge found himself water skiing off the back of the boat as Jensen tried to hoist the Jennica. The Australian boat narrowly avoided a capsize, but once again was at the back of the fleet. Incredibly, the Aussies salvaged a 7th place finish from the race, but a 3rd place for the Kiwis was enough to give them overall victory with a race in hand. Spectators now turn their attention to the 3-way fight between Great Britain, Germany and Australia. Once again, the Kiwis led the way, winning the final race by a big margin. Now on the back foot, Outteridge and Jensen sailed a solid race for 2nd place, but the Germans had been too consistent with an exceptional scoreline of 3-2-3, taking the silver medal by just over 2 points from the British. Impressive racing from the Germans, who are the underdogs at the start of the day, sitting in 4th place and walk away with the silver medal. The British pair of Fletcher and Sign sneaked the bronze by just 0.6 points from the Australians.
You are the bronze medalist. By how much is it from Nathan Outteridge? It was really close.
I think it was by 0.6 of a point, and I think it must be like 2 or 3 points behind the Germans. So it was all really tight going into that last race.
Awesome. I mean, we've managed to win a few regattas now in the last couple of years, but you know, today that was fun. I mean, the theatre style racing and 15 to 20 knots of breeze, it doesn't get much better than that. So I'm absolutely knackered now, but you know, we threw the boat around, we gave it our all, and it's been a great week for us.
With the Kiwis already headed ashore, the German pair of Heil and Ploessel kept their celebrations going on the water. Next stop for these teams will be the Rio 2016 test event in Brazil in August, and then on to the ISAF Worlds in Spain in September, and the first Olympic qualification event.